Hello, everyone. Welcome to yet another match of the Link to the Past Randomizer tournament. This is Game 1 against Daaanty and Roach788. I am one of your commentators for today, Hammer Bro, and joining me in the booth is Spyweaver. How are you doing today, man?
I'm doing good, getting ready to buckle down for the first match of this group final stage here. Winner goes on to the brackets. Loser has one more chance since this is the winner's bracket of the group.
Yeah, this is going to be fun. We got two guys who really know how to play Rando at this point. I am looking forward to a very close, hopefully, and very fun match. What are you looking for in today's match?
Last one, I wanted something that I commented. I wanted something that was more execution. This one, maybe let's give them something that's a little trolly here. A few hidden items that they take a while to find. Give us something interesting to watch.
That's fair. Not a bad thing to hope for. You should always wish for more rando, and that's definitely one way of doing it. We could have a 2-hour seed here if it's evil enough.
And those ones always turn out to be the fun ones, it seems, at least from a viewer and or commentator standpoint. Running, maybe not so much.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure after about the hour and 30-minute mark, every 5 minutes the pressure just heightens a little bit because as a runner you're thinking, okay, there's got to be a dot done coming, even though I can't find the stinking fire rod. There's got to be one coming.
It always seems something like that. You're either waiting for it or just kind of hoping it to put you out of your misery. So okay, maybe I either missed something or here we can just finish up and call it good and move on to the next.
Yeah, that's fair. So since you're hoping for a somewhat trolley seed here, what do you think we're gonna get that's gonna cause some issue for our runners? What item you think they'll be looking for?
A few of the other ones I've seen we've had today have been the gloves. So let's just keep that one going and let's go for the gloves.
Okay, are you thinking gloves or mitts or both?
Let's go with both of them. We may as well go all in while we're at it.
Alrighty, so we do have 3 crystals in the light world. Eastern looked like it was a 5-6. I believe the other 2 were just regular crystals.
Yeah, looks to be what I saw there as well. 5-6 Eastern regulars up in Hera and Desert.
I'll tell you what, though, this seed's being fairly kind with bombs so far. Roach had a bomb drop, and there's some more bombs, so early bombs will not be an issue for our Kakariko routing.
Very explosive early on. If you wanted to get a little intriguing, you could use those bombs to go down into the front of Escape as well.
That would definitely be an interesting call. I have always personally hated trying to do escape with bombs, but these runners are obviously much better than I am. It does look like Daaanty may go ahead and do another bomb pull, or might go into escape, as you mentioned.
Well, just a bomb pull, saving and quitting, and should be heading up to the Sanctuary.
That's what I would anticipate. Yep. Nothing much of use in the Sanctuary there, just a small key, which hopefully won't even be needed, unless, of course, those power gloves are in a terrible location, like you were alluding to them possibly being.
Roach grabbing the rest of his bombs from that tree pole. Should be heading up to Lumberjack. Give us a sight here whether or not we need Ega for a hidden item or not today.
Yep, Daaanty, meanwhile, skipping that, headed straight into the Lost Woods. So if there's something good here, which there's not, that could have been an interesting point of contention for our runners.
Well, it looks like we have Bombos growing in the mushroom spot here in the Lost Woods. Could maybe point us towards an early Ice Palace play, depending on how things sit out in the Dark World.
Yeah, that definitely could be interesting. Um, yeah, I'm hoping not. Early ice is not fun.
Well, it seems when the items point you to an early ice that nothing ever comes out.
Except for maybe a cold stare death.
Yeah, that is true.
So even though our seed has been kind with bombs, really stingy with rupees so far, we'll see if Kakariko turns that around a little bit, because right now we're sitting at 6 rupees apiece. It's not going to be enough to do a whole lot. Alright, well there goes that being a troll item. You're going to have to hope for the mitts at this point. Oh, and there's a lamp. That is an interesting early pull. But outside of glove and lamp, not really much so far, including only 20 rupees from a chest. So, yeah, Daaanty thinking that maybe rupees and Kakariko might be a bit of a premium. So we'll see how that works out.
Yeah, lamp's one of the nice quality of life items, not necessarily needed depending on if certain dungeons are firelocked, but definitely not something any of these runners will go against getting early on here. And there's the bow in the back of Kakariko. Well,
so and there's Quake. This is an interesting slew of items we're getting here. And still not enough rupees. So, ha! Daaanty is going to fall down and grab another 5 rupees, where Roach may choose to do the same thing, may not. So we'll see.
and looks like Roach is going to make that play as well to finish out getting 100 rupees. Daaanty showing us it's just for some expensive bombs today, however.
Yeah, bombs we didn't even have room for in our inventory, so thanks a lot, Bottle Vendor.
I can use those bombs to blast open the chicken coop for another 20 rupees. A little bit of cash back, I suppose.
Yeah, so far not terrible. Hopefully we won't have, oh, okay, there's a hammer. So we're right now a moon pearl away from Dark World access. That's kind of interesting.
That is definitely an interesting item, but another good one to have early on. Does as much damage as a tempered sword. So there's a lot of different things you can pull off with that hammer.
Yeah, all the damage of a tempered sword, all the hitbox of, well, ugh.
Of good luck, almost.
Basically.
Piece of heart on race game. It'll be the last we see of that on Daaanty's side. The last time you'll see it'll be on Roach's side here when he more than likely does the same.
Yeah, that's what I would anticipate. It does look like we're going to get a back of escape check. I think it would be interesting for the potential of a Sahasrara Eastern check next, rather than South Shore, given that runners generally tend to enjoy doing fake flippers, especially since with the glove, Zora is going to be within logic, and this would give them a couple more checks to do to hopefully get closer to Zora money at the very least. It does look like Roach is just going for it, and yeah, that's not going to end up paying off for him.
Meanwhile, Daaanty finding our first bottle in the back of Escape, and looks like we'll be taking that key and lamp combo further in to check out Dark Cross as well.
Yeah, very much so. And this is one of those interesting cases where this check actually is within logic. Usually when runners make this, it's way out of logic because they don't have a fire source of any sort. So chat right now hoping for the one thing that would make Aghanim required, and that's the Moon Pearl on the Pyramid. Hey, that's not a bad cane to grab.
If you're gonna get any cane early, that'd be the one to see. Looks like Roach, however, just did the back 3 and save and quit out of there. This could be interesting.
And it looks like we might actually get an Eastern play. I didn't expect our runners to go through with it. Looks like Roach is going to actually do front of Escape right now, so might actually do a Death Warp down at the bottom and go ahead and get that Dark Cross check then. At least I hope that's the case, because we really don't want to see that Cane of Samaria end up being orphaned.
Yeah, that would just be too bad dropping that one down in Dark Cross, especially how early on it was accessible.
Speaking of early accessible, we do have access to Sick Kid right now, given that we just found the bottle. Oh, boots, that's nice. So at least we get to go fast.
Well, we do have lamp, we do have cake. One more item, and that might be a certain other play here.
Don't say it. Don't wish that upon our runners. Do not speak that upon our runners.
Only just speculate. I didn't quite say it.
Uh-huh. We all know what you were thinking.
I can guarantee I'm not the only one.
Yeah, but that's what chat's there for. Chat is supposed to be the cynical person who comes up with the worst potential possibilities and cackles gleefully at the potential behind the trolliness. It's our job to stay even keel. Do not let the cynicism consume you, Spyweaver.
I didn't fully say it. We're almost there, though.
I'll tell you what, though, that's kind of a fool's agonym, because, I mean, at that point, you have everything else you need. You know, you're not thinking... I mean, there's really only one thing that could be on that pyramid other than something that would lead to the Moon Pearl, and that's the Moon Pearl itself. So, whew, at this point, you grab the gloves, you grab the hammer, and you're like, okay, so odds of me having to do this are fairly slim. And then, yeah, if the Moon Pearl ends up over there, that's just not nice, as Roach forgets that he has a fairy in a bottle.
An all too common mistake that we see plenty of people do. You get that early bottle and just forget it has that fairy.
Yep, so Death Warp Part 2.
At least it was only 5 hearts that you needed to go through.
That's a fair point. We also haven't gotten a mail upgrade, which has made that take quite a bit longer as well.
50 more rupees there in the big chest in Eastern Palace for Daaanty, and we'll be continuing on to see what the Vanilla Big Key location had.
Yep, and Daaanty gonna go ahead and assume that that the 50-50 odds aren't gonna be in his favor, since we did see a map, but not the compass. Since Dainty's come this way, inevitably, the last item's gonna be on Armos. But if he had skipped that chest, then the compass would be on Armos, because that's the way Eastern Palace logic works.
It's almost like the seed can read the runner's mind as they're playing it when you do that.
Well, never mind. Ended up working out that time. Only 10 arrows, but still, not a location to worry about.
Yeah, but just a weight off your chest there, instead of, going to the back, taking out Armos Knights, getting that last dungeon item, and then just kind of wondering, what do I do?
Yep, meanwhile, Roach is going to go do South Shore instead, so we're going to get some new checks up here. Just a big 20 there. Meanwhile, this is going to take Roach a bit longer because he does not currently have the boots.
Yeah, I'd say those are about as French vanilla to boots that you'll get, too.
Yeah, you really don't want them in the vanilla location in Randomizer. That's not a fun place to be.
No, especially when you see that you have nothing but 3 crystals in the light world. You just don't want to know where that green pendant is there hiding them boots.
Daaanty making really good use of that red cane there, as we get actually a skip of the mini Moldorm cave for now. Instead, we're going to check the ledge here, and then probably an Agana cave check, which is interesting. Apparently I miscounted, and we did see the compass as well. Whoops.
It looks like Eastern Palace coming up nothing. Blink and it misses it. our most Knights fight is over. Daaanty getting the first crystal just a little over 12 minutes into the match.
Hey, either way, empty or not, a sub 13-minute crystal is nothing to sneeze at. Unfortunately, that Aghanim play not working out. Just a piece of heart. Looks like we might see a Bonk Rocks check here. Yep, we also might see a Lumberjack check here from Daaanty since he did skip it first go-round. Since now he has the boots, so, you know, it's in logic.
Yeah, another one of those checks you'll see a good number of runners put off until they get those boots, since it really doesn't pay off to do it until you do have those boots to open up that dungeon. It looks like Bonkrock's giving us powder.
All the more reason to go over to Kakariko, because now we have Sick Kid and Alfred in the Batcave.
Looks like we just get the Sick Kid's little lunch money there today. 5 rupees for showing them that bottle.
Meanwhile, these mini Moldorms not being fun. Hey, the Arrow of Destiny, and there is our Moon Pearl. So, Aghanim officially dead. Sorry, guys. Yay, little shield.
Got the very first pot lid. Fisher priced my first shield there.
Amusingly enough, between the Rupee Horde and the Moon Pearl, yeah, Mini Moldorm Cave really made the prospect of fake flippers being a lot more worthwhile. Only need 2 more rupees here.
Especially with that Moon Pearl in tow now. Head up to Zora and not have to worry about forgetting that item on Zora because you're slow on rupees.
Yep, and with the cane and the bow, as well as enough bombs, we'll definitely be able to do a splash deletion if needed for something up on that ledge. Yep, Daaanty seeing the 50 rupees as Roach gets 1 rupee and elects to not worry about fake flippers. Okay, interesting.
Yeah, definitely interesting. Let's see where this play takes him here.
So Dainty's still putting off that South Shore check, which is going to leave him without the Moon Pearl for now. Even with these items, not really a whole lot in logic up here on the mountain. Saving the old man for once is actually in logic, since we do have the lamp. We'll also be able to see the item up on top of Spectacle Rock, and perhaps grab the item inside Spectacle Rock if we can be bothered. Meanwhile, our pendants are going to be Skullwood, Swamp, and Ice, with our other 5/6 crystal over in Pod.
And that is a green pendant Ice Palace too, to speak of.
That's kind of interesting. Between Mire and Turtle Rock being crystals, those early medallions might end up being useful. Our luck, though, both dungeons will be Ether, just to kind of laugh at us a little bit. Alright, big 20 on top there. Half Magic, meanwhile, from Hype Cave, and another big 20 there, so not useful. And 120 rupees, a quarter of a heart, and 10 arrows. So half magic making Hype Cave not worthless, but how would you rate this one?
Yeah, I'd give it a 3. You don't really have too much you can use with that magic quite yet. I mean, half magic, though, while not needed, is just one of them good quality of life items. It's always nice to have if you grab it on the way.
Yeah, I think I'd give it about a 3 or a 4 with that. I am personally very partial to half magic, especially once you do get that fire rod. It is really nice to roast things. So we'll see how much of a difference that ends up making. Meanwhile, we do get a Stumpy check here from Roach, who still doesn't have the boots, which is unfortunate. And there's our other single rupee. So we've already found both of those. One in Ice Rod Cave and the other one sitting on Stumpy. So no more single rupees for the game, unless I have the counts incorrect in my head.
We also did find that single arrow, so we found all those single items, it looks like, already.
Don't worry, we have time for plenty more big 20s.
That is true. Roach making his way to the dig game. 30 strikes of the earth to find some hidden item. And it looks like it's just a pack of bombs today.
Yep, 15 digs for 3 bombs. Not preferable. There we go. Mini Moldorms being slightly more friendly to Daaanty, but not by much. Alright, so now we'll see if Daaanty perhaps does an Ice Rod check, and then maybe a Water Walk, actually. If he doesn't get crabbed to death, those things are terrifying when you don't have a sword.
Yeah, dashing around anywhere without a sword's a little terrifying. Not too much protection there to go around, especially around those crabs that can all of a sudden just change direction on different X-Y axes and throw you for a loop.
Yeah, and the boots definitely give you just enough rope to hang yourself with.
You like them early, but without that sword, it could be, so to speak, a double-edged sword there.
Alrighty, Roach meanwhile picking up their boots, so that is nice speed run rolling for both of our guys now, and I think we're going to get a quick clear of Eastern here. Meanwhile, Daaanty deciding to not die to crabs today, and getting really nice luck on those bomb pulls there.
Looks like we might be going for the fake flipper here instead of a water walk.
You know, I don't blame him. That water walk setup is kind of difficult, you know, and there's a bunch of enemies over there, and sitting on 2 hearts, any one of those crabs would have taken them out. Probably not something you want to deal with. Lake Hylia Island not being useful, just a 1/4 heart there. I think we're going to go check out our hobo friend.
Yeah, not to mention if you try the fake flipper setup just a little off there in the hobo area, you'll actually end up soft locking your game.
That's a good point. Did you see if Daaanty did the fake or the water walk setup for it? Because he might be doing a water walk right here. Yep, there we go.
There he did, yep. So going the safer route with it, not risking that over there.
Makes sense. It also makes sense if you plan to check hobo just to get everything out of the way, because having the water walk here, a little bit faster. That blue male definitely going to be a welcome sight with only 5 hearts. Meanwhile, Roach absolutely demolishing Eastern so far. Full heart on that ledge. I don't think we'll see it.
It depends how Daaanty feels there with the 5 hearts and blue mail. Zorm, you know, for 500 rupees gives us a life lesson today.
No, this red rupee is worth 500, I swear.
I swear this is the key rupee to defeating Ganon.
I mean, honestly, 500 rupees for flippers is kind of a rip-off and to begin with, so, you know, that's kind of just vanilla behavior there.
Too true.
Alright, so Daanty's probably going to be grabbing their half magic here. And we'll be able to complete pod, if so choosing.
You know, with all those pod items, if you decide to go through and clear it, that's early access to the Pyramid Fairy.
It is, which is honestly why I said pyramid instead of pod. I was trying to get a step ahead of myself there, and it didn't come out right. Not a bad refill here once Daanty gets up to 6 hearts. I do find it at least slightly amusing that both of our red crystals are in the same basic location, just behind a temporal shift.
And Roach making good use of that hammer in the room right here before Armos tonight. Daaanty makes the way right over to the dig game.
15 digs for 3 bombs. Not really what Daanty's going to be looking for, but another item check out of the way regardless.
Yeah, definitely interesting with this seed giving us all these bombs fairly early.
Yeah, that just means we won't have any when we need them. Meanwhile, Roach doing a wonderful job with Armos, and perhaps going to be going straight into pod from here. So we might end up getting darn near synced pod entries.
Yeah, I think it's about as synced as you could ask for here, 25 minutes down into the game.
That's honestly something about Randomizer that amuses me the most. Is you could have people do completely and totally opposite things and still come to an agreement on what to do next, just randomly. Daaanty wanting to be careful here, though. 2 hearts isn't a whole lot to go off of in the Dark World.
Yeah, it still does at least have that blue male advantage over a Roach, so I have a little bit easier of a time going through things. But still, those 6 hearts in. Kind of a clincher there a little bit.
Yeah, especially with those jumpy suckers, they will get you.
Just when you think you know they're going one way, they decide to jump the other way at you, and that's an overworld death you don't want.
Most definitely. Pod is going to be interesting here, provided that we don't see the mirror very soon. So that'll be fun. I wonder if Daaanty will remember that they have a fairy in a bottle.
The ultimate troll item. My bet would just be that they don't, but you know, I could be wrong on that. Has been a while since we've picked it up, so you never know.
That's a fair point. At the very least, we do have boots. Or else this would just be a long walking dungeon. And the key layout not being friendly here, that's annoying. Especially if Daaanty manages to pick up 2 keys over on the bow locked side, because then that would mean that our vanilla big key location might not necessarily have a key, which means you might have to go check it.
Still pretty close to sync here, just 1 room off as we're going through the mimic.
Alright, so Daaanty really hoping that... Oh, that's unfortunate. Alright, so... Yep, we're gonna have to keep that in mind. We can still hope that we are sitting at 1 key upon finishing everything over towards the back here, but no guarantee. Instead, Daaanty just going for it. and Roach right behind him. So yeah, our runner's not taking a chance. Because this could still technically be a key here. You don't have to have 4 keys in the front. You could have 5.
Yeah, it's one of those chests that you never really know, and it looks like today it is key for a key.
Yep. And instead, Pod is acting kind of like Ice Palace because we're going around and around and around.
And like you said, adding salt to the wound almost without that mirror, making our runners do the long way around for everything here.
Don't worry, Helmosaur King will drop it.
Give it just too little too late almost.
Basically. On both of their sides, actually, because if Roach had done Pod before Eastern at that rate, he would have been able to just mirror over and do Eastern, so that would really be a kick in the teeth there.
Probably the first of many things that might weigh on each of these competitors' mind of, well, hope if my opponent did this first, then I might be behind. However, speaking of which, Daaanty finding the big key and the flippers down here in the basement.
Which, honestly, with both Swamp and Ice Palace being pendants, didn't really want to see the flippers this race.
Progression, but probably not where they'd want it.
Yeah, also since both of our runners have managed to... Oh yeah, it looks like Daaanty has forgotten about that fairy. This'll be funny. And there is our second dungeon item, so we are going to get an item over on Helmosaur King.
Here we go. Oh!
Did remember.
Leaving us here with bated breath.
Honestly, I think that Daaanty saw it last minute when he was changing his inventory just to something else there, saw it and went, oh, maybe I should get rid of that. But I don't know. We'll never know, and Daaanty will probably never tell. Meanwhile, Roach taking his Death Warp. So they're both going to be headed towards Helmosaur in just a moment. Chat already making terrible assumptions on where the ice rod may or may not be.
Yeah, it seems fairly normal, however.
Yeah, I feel like Laser Bridge is more likely.
Ice Rod, one of those few items that could literally be anywhere in the game. And just depending on where things lay out, could always end up being the hunt for the Ice Rod, Turtle Rock being that crystal.
You know, to be fair, I never really got why the search for Ice Rod was supposedly so difficult. I mean, because to be fair, the bow only locks 2 locations. So, I mean, that can be anywhere too.
Yeah, but now in version 31, we do have 2 bows to speak of with progressive instead of versus 1 Ice Rod.
Less difficult. That's a
maybe
fair point.
pre-version 31 bow.
It will be interesting, though, because by and large, I've watched a decent amount of this tournament, and fire sources have seemed to be the troll item more times than not. So we'll see if the fire rod ends up being the annoying grab rather than its ice rod cousin.
Suppose it could be in its vanilla location of Ice Palace today that's locked behind Bombo.
I mean, not technically vanilla, but in Randomizer, yeah, it sure seems like it likes being there. Its vanilla location of Skull Woods, though, would be rather trolly, given that Skull Woods is a pendant in this regard.
Very. Meanwhile, Daaanty taking out Helmasaur, only getting a piece of heart to speak of, but the second crystal, and more importantly, our second 5/6, giving us Pyramid Fairy check.
Yeah, this could actually, we will see if our runners are paying attention to that, because this would be a great time to route it in. You could go get the bomb and then just do the actual pyramid location and run it into Catfish if you were so inclined.
Yeah, and with Daaanty walking out of the pod area, that'd be my guess as to where they're going. We'll see if Roach does the same. Well, Roach is saving and quitting.
And Daaanty forgot about the bomb, heading straight to the pyramid. So, kind of a missed opportunity for both of them there. Roach could also, now that he has the flippers, have just done Catfish and then oh, never mind, no mirror. Forget the idiot over in the booth. Got ahead of myself there. Hey, there's a sword, though. That's not a bad find.
It looks like Roach actually taking the portal. See if they remember the big bomb. And looks like they do. We will be getting a Pyramid Fairy here shortly while Daanty's working way up to Catfish.
Yep.
And depending on what Pyramid Fairy is hiding for us, this could be interesting.
Alrighty, so we will see if this Pyramid Fairy ends up being useful. Don't dash! Oh, this could... Yeah, that's
Ooh.
bad. That's rough. Green Mail not being Roach's friend there. That was not fun.
And in lieu of the Rage Slashes, we get some Rage Bonks there on the ground with the hand.
Well, since Roach didn't pick up the sword on the pyramid, they didn't have much of a choice.
Alright, Pyramid Fairy take 2 it looks like here.
Yep, meanwhile, Daaanty is going to go ahead and route in the Village of Outcasts here. We might get a Skullwoods check, might not, we'll see.
Yeah, Skullwoods is almost one of those where you see most runners route in the front of it as part of overworld checks, just because of either getting burned by that fire rod there one too many times, or just getting the 2 quick items hopefully out of the way.
Yeah, it can very easily go either way. You can run back there and not find a darn thing, or you can run back there and find 2 items real quick. But Daanty's skipping it for now. So looks like we're going to get some Village of Outcasts check, and then probably Thieves Town to be our 3rd crystal, since we can full clear that.
The Uncle Care package of bombs finding its way into the chest game today.
I've always wondered if that officially counted as a unique item for the sake of hints.
I would not have the answer on that one. That's a good point, though.
Alright, so here we go. Pyramid Fairy, worth it or not? And after a couple of very, very unwelcome pauses to kind of build suspension, not much more than a restocking station, although we did get a fairy in a bottle. Hey, and there's our silvers. That's nice.
Definitely a nice find this early on. That's going to make quite a few bosses melt pretty fast now.
Yeah, blind unfortunately not being one of them, go figure.
However, fortunately, whether you have Fighter's Sword or the Gold Sword, blind does take the same amount of damage.
Yep, and Chad informing me that the 10 bomb pack not included as a unique item. So you guys can put that in your notes.
You learn something new every day. Alright, so far the front just giving us silvers over in Thieves Town. Roach is getting the bad news from the catfish of a piece of heart.
Yeah, Thieves Town usually doesn't have too much in it, though, so I'm not really holding my breath for something worthwhile in here.
It seems like the only time it does have something worthwhile is when you can clear it before you get the hammer and have to make a double dip into it.
Yep, or Pendant Thieves Town in the back somewhere. Attic chest, maybe.
Of course.
That was impressive knowledge. Daaanty knew off the onset. Hey, I called it! Except for it's not a pendant, but I'll take it anyways.
It's still an item that's in the back they're going to need. And one that is most welcome as well.
Yeah, most definitely. Although perhaps not overly welcome in this regard, since again, Swamp is a pendant.
Probably hoping for more of a quality of life at this point. Next thing they don't want to see at this point would be that hook shot.
Oh, that's just what Blind's gonna drop.
Hey, you said it this time, not me.
You know, these enemies not being friendly here, and that red Zizak's just tossing, just lobbing fireballs down the corridor with actually really nice accuracy. Kudos to that guy. We are getting a skip of the big chest. I did not do a dungeon item count, because as someone who doesn't run this very well, I am terrible at keeping track of it. But I'm assuming here that all we have left are the map and compass of this dungeon.
Yeah, no
Or
small key right now to speak of,
alternatively.
so Blind should be dropping that for us today.
That's right, because I don't believe Blind can drop the small key. Now, I have seen Blind drop the hammer to have an item in that chest. Or I think Blind dropped a mushroom to get the hammer for an item in that chest. But in this case, just drop the compass, so we're good to go.
So technically a hammer-locked Thieves Town. Technically, if you do screwy things with the small keys.
That's a fair point, but with the hammer being as early as it was, that not really causing much of a blip in our logic radar. Meanwhile, Roach rolling through Skull Woods, as you said before, attempting to find those couple of items.
Looks like Daaanty almost looked like we were going to get a bumper ledge check there, but instead turns back around and looks like we're making the play into Skull Woods as well.
Yeah, V31 showing one of its changes there in the pinball room that Roach is currently sitting at. Not guaranteed to have a small key anymore, so you can drop down and soft lock yourself. Be warned, fellow rando players. This being a 2-pixel bomb jump here. Roach grabbing it on the second go. And hello!
Titan's mitts, there goes that idea.
I mean, that's somewhat trolly. It just turned out that both runners appear to be calling the possibility here. You very well had the potential to be correct with mitts being kind of, I don't want to say buried deep in Skullwood, since there's not really a deep in Skullwood, especially not with the front. But locked behind that big key and in the big chest is about as unfortunate as you can get for the front of Skullwoods.
But not to mention, it is pendant Skullwoods on top of that.
Of course. So at this point, I do have an interesting thing to point out. Roach does still not have that mirror, which means Smith chain checks and other checks of that ilk will be infinitely more annoying for him.
I'd imagine we'll see Roach dive into Thieves Town here shortly when we get done with his Village of Outcasts checks. So it's probably only a matter of time.
I'm honestly just so used to seeing it being dived early that that Roach kind of threw me off there. But yeah, you're correct. I would be shocked to see Roach not go ahead and do this.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Just kind of took the roundabout way.
The almost rare 44-minute Thieves Town crystal play, since it is one of those few that you can usually clear right away upon entering the Dark World.
That's a fair point. It's also kind of odd being our third crystal.
Yeah, very true.
So it does look like we're going to get a graveyard check, and I would presume Daaanty would follow this up with a King's Tomb. And then actually, we have the entirety of Death Mountain in Logic right now, outside of, obviously, Ether Tablet and Turtle Rock. Although we might be able to do at least one check in Turtle Rock, unless we have Ether. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Daaanty head up the mountain soon.
Well, I guess Ether won't be too much of an issue if it is on Turtle Rock anymore.
Well, never mind there. And speak of which, we're kind of running low on items that we need for Go Mode at this point. Definitely going to need the flute, also going to need that fire rod, because, well, of course, the fire source would be annoying. Gonna need another sword at some point. Ice rod as well. Hookshot too, so we do still have a handful of items, but we're trending in that direction. Roach deciding just to do the cape-assisted God Pixel. Can't blame him.
Alright, Daaanty making the dip down here into Tower of Hera, going for crystal number 4. Bottom, we got the blue cane here today. Not a progression item, but at this point, just another quality of life. And probably not needed, especially with that cape in tow as well.
Yeah, there's a few circumstances where the cane is nice, particularly in long use situations, because it does use less magic over time than the cape does. Kind of surprised to see Daaanty not pull out the hammer there for those hard hat beetles, but wasn't too bad.
Ooh, Roach needs to be careful here. Down to 1 heart. Oh, and gets sniped.
I'm telling you, man, that one red horse head is the guy that really deserves all the overtime. He gets everybody every time. Daaanty trying for a bomb jump, and yeah, not fortunate there. I guess you could say that tower bomb jump ended up being a terrible choice.
Oof. Oof, I don't know about that one.
It's okay, Daaanty doesn't either at this point. We'll see if he tries it again.
Alright, so in a way, Roach's Pyramid Fairy kind of paying off with that fairy bottle refill we got there. Keeping him in the match here, going into blind now into phase 3. So far, so good. It's a little off script, but not too bad, and making easy work there in blind.
Yeah, at this point, getting smacked once in a blind fight is not bad at all.
Yeah, first 2 phases fairly well on script. Last phase, for the most part, just don't die.
Pretty much. Let's not let it drag out too much. Let's not get killed. Okay, we managed to succeed in both of those. Good to go. Interesting, Roach deciding not to do Smith's Chain.
Instead goes back to Sanctuary. We'll see where Roach wants to take things from here. Maybe up the mountain as well. Well, Daaanty taking down Moldorm and just gets the small key. So I believe that means we have an item in the basement today as well.
Of course we do. Why wouldn't we? Alright, grab your coffee, your water, your tea, your V8. Oh, never mind. Skip all that because we are not having a coffee break right now. I'm just thankful the chat was thinking the same thing I was. I wasn't the only one who ended up being flat out wrong on that one. Hey, just 3 bombs up there, so we're not going to have a floating island grab at any point. It's unfortunate, because I had my canister of V8 already.
Yeah, we do have one more chance here. Roach looks like we're making our way right up that way very shortly.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. At this point, we've got Hera and Turtle Rock in one set of locations, and then we have Desert and Mire in the other set. Those being locked behind Flute still, so let's go up the mountain. Maybe we'll get lucky and be able to complete a couple dungeons. We'll get at least one of them, hopefully some good items, and we can go from there.
Yeah, and as of right now, Death Mountain does have one of the highest item dense groupings worth of checks here, so only makes sense to go up there right now.
Oh yeah, I want to say, including Hera, even excluding Turtle Rock, we're looking at, I don't know, somewhere in the vicinity of 17, 18 checks. Or items, I should say.
Yeah, it'd be a safe estimation. I have to go back and check just to be sure, but it's something quite large in that area.
Let's see, you got 7 in the Dark World. You've got 8 on East Side. And then you've got, well, those 3 we've already checked. So that's 7, 8, 2 in Hera, so 17, I believe. And then, yeah, no, so that 7 in the Dark World does include Spike Cave. Oh, but it also includes Hookshot Cave, so I gotta take off 3. So we're sitting at 14, I believe.
Paradox Cave looking like we just have a hoard of rupees and another bottle filled with a fairy for us today.
Yeah, a decent amount of health too, which isn't unwelcome, but we're starting to get to the point where we're less appreciative of health and more appreciative to some actual key items, dang it.
Alright, let's see what Super Bunny has for us here today. Let's see if we get something on Dark Mountain. We get a Master Sword and 20 rupees, so that's our second sword of the day.
Yep, so now we can go do Aghanim. Wait.
Maybe not.
Yeah, I know at this point I'd be kind of surprised. We are going to get a check of this bunk chest over here, which I've seen be the hook shot before, so we'll see. Also don't know if Daaanty is one to hover. Alrighty, here we go. Hold your breath, guys. Oh, maybe don't hold them that hard.
We're halfway, and looks like we're going to get another attempt here.
Yeah, halfway's not bad for an initial hover attempt here. I think he's warmed up, and there we go. Mushroom. That's interesting. Gonna get a double bonk here. Careful. There we go. Red mail. That's definitely not a bad pickup. All right, one more hover.
And without too much trouble, makes quick work of it, but just gets 5 rupees out of that one. That might answer the question for us as to whether or not Daaanty will spend too much time looking for that hook shot later on as well.
That is a fair point. Outside of something being in the back of Swamp, we don't technically need that hook shot. It is amazing how the prospect of hovering has kind of changed. It's that's unfortunate.
Ooh.
Smacking the the cave doesn't help you. The cape doesn't help you from knockback, man. That's bad. But anyways, it seems that hovers have overall gotten much faster. People are getting that rhythm down a lot more quickly, so they're actually moving way faster. Meanwhile, Roach playing some baseball with Trolldorm.
I have to say, that's probably the first time I've actually seen it bonk you back up onto the upper level.
Yeah, it's not too uncommon. Not fun. Thankfully, Roach staying on there this time, so gonna grab their small key. Drosy pointing out, hookshot could be in GT. You are correct, sir. It very well could be. Does look like we might just get... Never mind, I was going to call a Pyramid Fairy check, but instead we're getting K45.
Still don't know if Daanty's forgetting about it at this point, or just banking on an item not being there anymore. Roach, however, looks like we don't want to leave that item in the basement of Tower of Hera, so we will be getting our coffee break today.
Yep, grab your coffee, tea, water, chocolate milk, hot cocoa given the time of the season, or V8, or other soft drink, and go ahead and take a sip or two. You've got, I believe, like 45 seconds or so. Meanwhile, Daaanty going up. Not sure what's going to be on his radar next here. And our long-awaited check here. Yeah, that would make sense. Our long-awaited Hera basement check. Ugh, thanks.
None of these checks that Daanty's skipping and Roach is doing are seeming to pay off for Roach. All it's going to come down to at this point is whether or not those weigh on Daanty's mind later on if it comes a search for one specific item.
Yeah, that's fair. We will see how that turns out. Smith chain here being one of the few things we have left, so we're kind of running low on stuff.
Bedrock not playing nice for Roach. I'm just gonna turn around and take Spiral Cave instead then.
So I don't think we ever ended up getting a Turtle Rock medallion check from Daaanty, which is kind of interesting. Although I guess having all three, not strictly required, but not deciding to even hop in.
Probably wants to wait until we at least have the Fire Rod to dip in there, since it's one of those that just doesn't feel that great to double or triple dip.
That's a fair point, but I had a race yesterday where I saw it on Mimic Cave, so we'll see how that works out.
Seems to punish you if you don't, and punish you if you do.
Yeah, so in my opinion, and maybe it's a little different because I haven't actually timed this stuff out or looked up people who have, I would imagine that the worst part of dipping Turtle Rock is actually getting up the mountain. Once you're there, I would think, kind of the long part's done. You might as well just go take a look. Alright, so what do we have left here? We obviously have Purple Chest, which we're being taken to. We have, at the minimum, one check in Turtle Rock. Obviously, Fire Rod, Key Logic, dependent. Book there means that we have access to Desert, which is interesting.
That also opens up a few tablets for us as well.
Yep, which Daaanty decided to go do as a last minute. Kind of saw him going towards Desert and go, oh wait, there's Bombo's tablet. Should do that first.
Yep, definitely one of those on-the-way checks that if you don't do it now, you'll probably end up orphaning it. So no better time.
Yeah, that's a fair point, especially because you don't really want to go into Swamp at all this seed if you can at all help it.
The more and more we run out of checks, however, the more and more it seems likely that we might be seeing one of those pendant dip.
Yeah, front of Swamp is still most definitely within logic. Ice Palace also in logic. Not a fun Ice Palace without Bombos, and you might need Hookshot for it depending on how nicely the keys play. But yeah, those are in logic. And then obviously we've checked all of Skull Woods that we can, so we can at least take that off the burner for now, at least until we run into that Fire Rod.
And with Ice Palace and logic as well, don't forget it is also that green pendant.
That's a very good point. Roach deciding not to do any hovers there, either because of lack of ability or just lack of choosing to. We are going to get a Turtle Rock check here and maybe a dip. Alright, so here we go. New checks.
Bombos today, but definitely not an issue, like you said, since we do have all 3 medallions already.
Yep, this ended up being a quick coin collection seed. Alright, just a map to start with, and that Igor not being nice. Chat pointing out that easier menuing was book locked as well, which is an amusing advantage of the Book of Medora.
Yeah, so kind of interesting here. We're about an hour in, and neither of our runners are over 10 hearts yet. However, we do have red mail.
That's a fair point. Also, at an hour in, we are at the minimum 3 items away from go mode as a totality. Like 3 items that we don't even know where they are. And obviously, potentially, a fourth for Roach, assuming that Roach does not hover. Daaanty not technically needing the hook shot, but we're still quite a bit out.
Now, one almost has to wonder for Roach's sake that this, or hope I should say for Roach's sake, that this does not end up being another small key. And it is. We are going deeper.
On the flip side, you know, the farther you go in here, the closer you get to Laser Bridge. And if you can clear Laser Bridge, I mean, at this point, with the logic being the way it is, if you can get all the way to Laser Bridge, I don't know, I kind of like my odds of there being something useful here. Especially if that useful thing leads to one of our rods. That could end up being disastrous for Daaanty. Could very easily spin around depending on what we find here and where we find it.
Yeah, just another one of those things in Rando that can go either way for you depending on what you do find. At the very least, we do have a bit of divergence, so this could end up being good or bad for one or both of the runners, depending on what we do find.
And that's a good point. A lot of times divergence could end up being bad for both of our runners, even though one could technically benefit from it. It's all about how you mentally feel, and there was not a big key there, so I think we're done at this point.
I believe the last thing we do have left is Mimic Cave that we can get to, so that might be the last thing we do see here before Roach nopes out.
Yeah, that's a good point. I keep forgetting you can get to Mimic Cave without the big key.
Definitely, and meanwhile, Daaanty over there taking down Landmolus, getting very next crystal here, number 5. Giving them the 5-4 advantage in the seed. And oof, Roach taking a death there before getting in, but does have another fairy, thankfully, to save him.
Yeah, these fairies are almost becoming a meme for this seed with the frequency at which we're seeing them.
Trolled them early on, but seems like they're making up for it now.
Yeah, most definitely. Taking no chances. We're going to go ahead and just do a Cane of Burn a Stratch for the rest of it, and looks like we might very well get a Swamp Dip. Hold your breath, guys. This one could be interesting.
Yep, looks like Daanty's had enough and decided we're going to take that mirror and those flippers and let's go in the swamp and see if we get anything here.
So yeah, chat bringing up an interesting point. Can you use any of the medallions on the Pokies?
Quake and perhaps Bombos, if I recall right. It's been a while since I've actually tried using medallions on him, actually, myself.
Alright, and Mimic Cave. Yep, another bottle. So, not helpful in that regard.
Zelda also pointing out that you can ether and hammer the Pokies. Probably would be the easiest way to go about it, freezing them in place for it.
Interesting. They seem like such difficult enemies. It's kind of surprising to hear that they were programmed to be vulnerable to all three of the medallions. Yep, so meanwhile, we are going to get those flipper checks from Roach, since he did neglect doing those earlier. Might actually pair that with an Ice Palace check, since he is in the area. I didn't know that the shield would protect you from arrows while you were swimming. Learn something new every day.
So one has to wonder, are you really a hobo under the bridge if you're giving away 300 rupees?
I mean, honestly, we don't know what the housing market in Hyrule looks like. Kakariko stuff could be going for far more money than that.
Yeah, it is a fair point. Maybe that's why Link and his uncle choose to live out randomly in the middle of nowhere.
Yep, with one bed between them, don't think too hard about that. Alrighty, so we get to have the bona fide, not fun, left side pendant swamp palace check, complete with no hookshot, so we get to run around and drop twice. Alright, so Roach approximately 3 seconds away from getting ripped off. 3, 2, 1. Sorry, dude.
Getting you 5% cash back today. If that was a credit card, it'd be pretty dang good if I say so myself.
I guess that's one way of looking at it. Alright, first drop down not being useful, and I can tell you something, if Daaanty's routing choice ends up here not working out, we might have a situation where both of our runners feel ridiculously behind.
And if that happens, it just begs the question, what do we go ahead and do next?
I don't know, what do we even have left at this point? Oh, Ether Tablet.
Yup. Another climb up the mountain, perhaps.
That's definitely a feels bad man moment.
Daaanty also does have that mushroom turn in, but I also have to remember that is out of logic.
Yeah, but that's not going to stop him. We do also have all of Ice Palace if we're so inclined, which we're not, but might not have a choice in the matter. I didn't know you could turn it in that way. Dang it!
Fake mushroom?
No, it just gave the witch the mushroom from the north side. There's like a little... I didn't know you could dash down that way. That would be faster with the boots, because then you wouldn't have to change directions twice. You could only do it once.
Yeah, only paying off for 50 rupees today, however, so that sequence break not really paying dividends today. So what is next?
Yeah, I'm fairly certain we are sitting at Ether Tablet and Ice Palace. And I think that's it.
Green pendant ice.
Yep. Can't even pull the pedestal without that fire rod.
So is this one you can technically blame on me? What, since I did kind of call that with the early bombos?
I don't know. We'll see how it turns out. If we end up getting a couple of really good items in here, then I think you might be okay. If we end up getting like a shovel in here that leads to the fire rod, and then something important in the back of Skull Woods, and then maybe the ice rod on the pedestal, or it's a hospital, then yeah.
Okay, I didn't take it that far.
What do you mean? You totally took it that far.
I just said fire-locked source in a bombo-sized palace. You took it a little bit farther than that one.
Hey now, you said you wanted a trolley race. You never said how trolley.
Yeah, that is a good point.
Alright, so nothing here. At this point, I don't know Ice Palace key logic very well, but we are getting close to being hookshot locked out of here, which is kind of interesting. Because that could really narrow down where that hookshot could be.
You can also keep in mind that depending on the key layout, I have to find my notes on it, but depending on specific key layout, that hookshot could be on Cold Stare as well.
Yes, but pulling the map here does make that less likely, so we'll see what's in these next couple rooms. You know, honestly, what makes this room so difficult is that the floor isn't consistent. Looks like we're gonna have a swag hover. We don't need bombs. We are a pug of hovering. Wait, you're not Andy. What are you doing with that?
Say, is that almost a requirement to be able to use that sprite? I'm beginning to wonder here. And you got to hover every gap that you can.
I feel like Daaanty feels that way with first the Hookshot Cave hover and now the IPBJ hover. Looks like we're going north. We don't really want to get a spiky ball to the face. Alright, so I don't know how familiar you are with Ice Palace logic. I am not great with it. So I might need your assistance if you're familiar with it in telling me what is hookshot locked and what is not.
Let me see if I can pull out my notes. I believe since we didn't find another key, we are in hookshot locked territory.
Which, from what we know, doesn't that basically put hookshot at Ether Tablet?
Very possibly. I'm trying to think if there's something else we're thinking of.
Something that leads to hookshot. Obviously, we might not get hookshot.
Yeah.
We could get shovel or the fire rod or something of that nature. But it does seem to quite drastically narrowed down on where our hookshot could be.
And we'll just have to see what Freezer Room and Iced Tea has here, I believe. And that'll let us know if this is, in fact, a hookshot lock dungeon or not.
Yep. Brewers fan JP over in chat helping us out with that logic. Thank you for that, because I am terrible at Ice Palace logic, which is not good for me since I'm also terrible at the Ice Palace bomb jump, so should probably learn one of those or the other.
To be fair, Ice Palace logic is one of the harder ones in Randomizer.
Oh yeah, it can definitely get confusing really quickly. Nope, so with the map in one here and the hook and the compass in the other, we are still hookshot locked. I believe we just have the freezer room left.
Yep, that would be correct here.
Oh boy, this could be interesting. And obviously this is almost definitely something that our runners are not going to be thinking of at the time, since, well, you're trying to route Ice Palace quickly.
Alright, so here we go. Are we locked or not? Fire Rock!
Alright, so with map, compass, and fire rod being the 3 non-hookshot required locations, this is a hookshot locked dungeon. Didn't really matter because we did find the fire rod, so that being said, we're not going to get the fire rod here, or the hookshot here, but that's not terribly surprising.
That fire rod, however, could point him over towards Skull Woods, or the back, I should say, for a potential location for that hookshot now.
Yep, could also point them back to Turtle Rock for those 2 chests that we didn't get to see.
Crystal Roller Room there. Daanty choosing to bombos the shell off of Cold Stare here. Save some of that magic for some fire rod shots on Cold Stare itself.
Yeah, not a bad idea with the Master Sword, as yeah, it takes a lot of hits to take out Cold Stare with that. Alright, just a heart there.
So we're getting a fire rod and a big heart, full heart I should say, and now the green pendant. So do we go turn that in right away, or do we go follow that fire rod?
Well, at this point we're looking at Ether. From Daanty's perspective, we are looking at Ether, Turtle Rock, which just became much more appealing, and Sahasrara's green pendant. I would not be surprised to see a quick Ether tablet check, and then a dive into Turtle Rock, since we could technically do everything except for Trinix at this point.
And if you're Daanty as well, do you decide to route in the basement of Hera that you left earlier this time as well?
That will be interesting. We will see how that turns out. You did absolutely call it, with Bombos being required for Pendant Ice Palace, and then Fire Rod being in there, as Ether just ends up being a heart. So kudos on that call.
And Roach taking down Landmolus as well here, getting crystal number 5, evening up our crystal counts between the 2 runners. But as we know, we'll have to be making that trip down into the ever-fated Pendant Ice Palace to find our fire rod to make any further progression towards Ganon's Tower this season.
Yeah, that's not fun. And really what I don't want to see right now is the hookshot ending up being the item that is hiding somewhere, for lack of a better term, because given Daanty's ability to hover, it would just be unfortunate to have the match be determined by Roach running around trying to find the hookshot. Looks like we are going to get an ether tablet check for Roach. I believe that's all that he has not seen up here.
Yep, and we did see it on Daanty's side. It was just a full heart container. So that won't be the answer, unfortunately. Daaanty did skip over the basement of Hera still, however.
That is a good point. Meanwhile, we know one of these fire rod locked items that Daaanty is going to be coming up on in just a moment is going to be our big key. The other one, though, no idea what it is. We'll have to hold out for that one and see what we get.
Could be an item, could be a small key with an item in the big chest. We just gotta wait with bated breath on this one. And Daaanty taking the long way around because, of course, we don't have the hook shot.
Yep, because if you're waiting with bated breath, you might as well wait just a little bit longer.
There's our big key, and just a tempered sword being fire rod locked over there. Fairly welcomed, I would imagine, since the jump between Master Sword and Tempered is quite large as far as damage is concerned. Yeah, but probably still not what either of these runners will be looking for.
No, I imagine the fire rod is welcome, especially if Daaanty does come across the ice rod somewhere in here, because Tempered Sword Trinex is a heck of a lot easier than going either Master Sword or, God forbid, Hammer. But yeah, not really what we're looking for at this point, especially since we do have silvers. And unfortunately, it does look like we're about to get a swamp dip from Roach, which we know is going to prove fruitless.
You'd have to imagine, though, since Roach is down there on the south end, hopefully this points him towards Ice Palace shortly thereafter. Give him that fire.
Yeah, it wouldn't be surprising. There's also not really a whole lot more options, especially since, for the moment, there is nothing else that Roach can do up on the mountain. So that is a huge chunk of items that he has cleared that Daaanty is working on continuing to clear.
On the way, and how stingy this seed is being here later on, I almost hate to say it, but Ped still does have a chance of being alive.
Yeah, and given how quickly we're running through item checks at this point, I would hasten to say it's more than a slight chance.
Especially when you look at things being that it could be not one, but two potential items be sitting there for us.
That's a fair point. We also do have Sahasrara that we can think about. But keep in mind, since Ice Palace was hookshot locked, we are going to have to find that hookshot before we even really have to worry about the pedestal. And also needing it for Swamp. So we are a hookshot away from that being relevant, but we could still very well have either the flute or the ice rod sitting there. Alright, so as a recap, what is left outside of Turtle Rock? At this point, we do have the back of Skull Woods that's open, because we did find that fire rod sitting in Ice Palace. Other than that, honestly, that might be it. Can you think of any locations I'm not talking about right now?
I think we just have that and the green pendant turn-in, if my count is correct. Laser Bridge 2 that Daaanty is shortly coming up on. That, of course, is in Turtle Rock. So there are a few chances that we could find something here that'll steer us away from having to do that good old-fashioned ped chance, I should say.
Yep, and if we're talking about other locations that we would run into before then, we're also going to have the back of Swamp to contend with when we do finally find that hookshot.
You know, you could have a situation here where Ice Palace is hookshot locked, getting that fire out inside of Ice Palace, sending you back to Skull Woods for that hookshot, and then something being on the green pendant.
Or even as such, we could have that. We could have the hook shot right here. Ooh, there's our flute. So that's one item. So that flute doesn't really unlock a whole lot. It does unlock Mire area and Mire itself. But that is it, since Desert has already been full cleared.
Yeah, so Laser Bridge just giving us the flute here. Looks like Daaanty might actually be setting up to retain a warp portal outside of Laser Bridge. We're just going to save and quit, it looks like.
Yeah, I think at that point, Daaanty realized that pretty much all of their checks were going to require Dark World access anyway, so that portal wasn't going to be saved. Alright, and at what is darn near an hour and 24 minutes, we are finally going to have an official unstucking of our duckling. So get your cheese and quackers ready, because our duck is about to be free. Meanwhile, Roach making the painful left side swap. Alright, so at this point, let's go ahead and get a full check here. We have 3 items in the Mire area, 2 on the shed, 1 in checkerboard. We have 2 sitting in Mire itself. We have, I believe, 1 item in the back of Skull Woods. We have the pedestal, which it's currently not within logic, but is still something to worry about either way.
That would be what we're down to. There's 1 item, and speak of which, that is the last item we've been looking for. Ice Rod is in the Mire shed.
Which means that our hookshot could be in Turtle Rock. Or in Ganon's Tower, I should say.
That is correct. However, that means the pedestal should in fact be dead at this point.
Yep, sorry guys. Although, to be fair, we do have a rather trolly seed to gift to you, regardless of it not being ped. So, it's not a bad consolation prize.
So the saving grace now for Roach here in Ice Palace dip could be the lack of hovering, actually. Save him from grabbing those extra checks and maybe direct him right towards that fire rod faster than Daaanty made it. Make up a little bit of time. Next question will be, how soon will it be for Roach to go right back up to Turtle Rock and check out Laser Bridge?
Yeah, and the unfortunate part is that flute's going to lock just about everything else. So unless that ice rod is in the back of Skull Woods, Roach is not going to want to dip Turtle Rock without that ice rod.
It just depends which bit of the chain or which area that the fire rod points you to that Roach wants to follow. I'd almost imagine might see Skull Woods on their side instead of Turtle Rock, just to avoid that Turtle Rock triple dip, but there is a higher concentration of items in Turtle Rock.
Exactly. And chat saying hookshot cannot be in GT. It can, because Ice Palace is in fact a pendant. So this game does not require that you're able to beat all of the pendants before you get into Ganon's Tower. So if you're doing an all dungeon seed, either by choice or by design, you might end up finding some items in GT that you need to complete those pendants.
Yep, and since the fire rod is in fact not hookshot locked in Ice Palace, that's just another reason why that hookshot could be sitting in GT. Roach, however, looks like we're going over here to the hookshot side. Looks like we'll be seeing a bomb jump to cross this gap here.
And this is not an easy bomb jump. But, you know, right as I say that, no problem.
Yeah, Roach making it look easy here.
Hey look, Vanilla Big Key, because of course it is. So it does look like Daaanty is basically going to be playing this as Go mode, at least a pseudo Go mode, so we'll see what he stops to check along the way at this point.
I suppose you could call it Pug Tournament Go mode?
Yeah, we can go with that. Since the only check outside of Vitreous that's going to be required at this point is Trinex, and then we'll be headed straight to GT. Looks like we might have some spooky, but I don't think it worked out.
I believe he missed. I don't think he got his dash as soon as he dropped the block on the switch a few rooms back.
And Roach about 3 or 4 seconds away from that lovely fire rod. As soon as Bombo stops. Ta-da! Yep, happy slashes.
Slashes, and we're gonna continue on, it looks like. Yeah, it went this far, I suppose you may as well get that green pendant just in case that's hiding something else. So that tells me we might not see him go up to Turtle Rock after.
Yeah, you also have to keep in mind from Roach's perspective, 2 of the 3 items required could also be on the pedestal, and you really don't want to have to run all the way down Ice Palace again, so can't really blame him.
That is correct. And Daaanty making good use of those silver arrows, taking out Vitreous without too much of a sweat. Crystal number 6 is in the books. We're climbing back up the mountain to Turtle Rock here, I would assume.
Yep. Which means we're going to have a couple of potential big key opportunities for GT that could require a hover. Which, you know, that always makes things interesting, right?
Oh, of course. Gotta make things interesting here near the end.
That being said, this Turtle Rock is actually going to be fairly quick given that Daaanty has opened up everything. So we're going to be able to take a couple of shortcuts that you wouldn't normally be able to do, even in Go mode, unless you are really lucky with those key locations. So this will be a little bit quicker than people normally see Turtle Rock being. And what do you know, Daaanty never had to check that Harrow basement.
Or Pyramid Fairy, for that matter.
Also fair point. So those gambles ended up working out.
However, that Dead Rock seeming to control both of our players now today. That time it gets Daaanty stuck and having to just refresh the overworld to get it out of the way.
I mean, it's a Dead Rock. What did you expect? Roach wanting to be careful here with 3 hearts. Down to 1 eyeball puff, so making life a little easier here, but they still do pack quite a punch.
Cleaning it up nicely, however, getting that heart, and then get a nice refill as well as the green pen. Now we'll see where Roach goes next. Meanwhile, you have to wonder there if Daaanty feels like he's behind or not.
I don't know. I would assume that Daaanty probably feels behind because that's usually the standard mindset for someone who's running in a competitive 1v1 race. But I don't know. It really honestly depends. If I were Daaanty, I would probably feel behind just because of the ridiculously long Turtle Rock tip, and because Swamp didn't turn out anything, and completing Ice Palace didn't turn out anything, and doing the front of Skull Woods didn't turn out anything. This has pretty much felt like a full clear, just about. So, I don't know. In Daanty's shoes, I would probably feel behind. I cannot speak for Daaanty himself, though. And Sahas really giving us 10 arrows, so that being completely and totally useless as well.
Very interesting for sure. Still have to wonder then where that hook shot could be hiding. I almost think everything seems to be pointing its way towards the back of Skull Woods at this point.
Yeah, either the back of Skull Woods or one of those items in Mire, I believe, are just about all we're sitting on needing. We could technically have it on Trinex here, I think, actually, because Fire Rod was not hookshot locked, and neither was Ice Rod or the Cane of Samaria. So we could have it here on Trinex, which would be hilarious in an absolutely terrible way.
And just plain evil. There's also Checkerboard Cave too that we didn't get a check of since Daaanty just save and quitted as soon as they were out of Mire.
That is definitely a possibility, yeah. Alright, so this is going to be a quick little trip to GT. The bot is still dead. Sorry guys, but you can go ahead and start getting numbers in chat. The game is we have 22 chests that the big key could be in. Your job is to guess which number based upon the order in which Daaanty checks them. So, 1 through 22, no zeros, no negative numbers, no non-integers. Come on guys, let's play nice. Alright, what is your guess, Spy Weaver?
I always gotta go with the good old 14. It seems to be a fairly good middle ground area there. How about you?
And for those of you who wanted it, yeah, Roach probably not feeling great. Gonna go ahead and give a bombos to the to the pedestal, which contained 10 arrows. If you missed that book read, I'm gonna go ahead and say this seed has been trolly enough. Let's give our runners a break. 22.
I'm not sure if that's given him much of a break there.
Yeah, we'll get another coffee break. It's perfect.
Daaanty stops outside, the wise men doing their work, and somehow the magical barrier in front of Ganon's tower opens on up, and here come the stairs. Daaanty will be making their way right on into Ganon's tower.
Alrighty, so here we go. We are starting with the Hope Room, and it wouldn't surprise me to see Daaanty go full right here. Alright, we got the Crap-A-Rang, and hello!
Oh boy. Oh, there's your good old hookshot inside of Ganon's tower.
Sorry guys, Bob is dead as we check our third.
And the hookshot being there is definitely bad news for Roach, as we got Roach taking out Mothula here, no doubt looking for that hookshot. And of course, not wanting to make that trip back up to Turtle Rock, it seems, to avoid that double triple.
Yeah, honestly, probably looking for the Ice Rod just as much at this point. Nothing so far. And yep, we're up to 7 with the big key still at large.
Roach taking a little moment to think, be making their way back up here towards Turtle Rock. We'll shortly get the unfortunate news that it is indeed going to be a triple pick for him.
The only good thing that I have to say here is that Daanty's probably going to dot done before Roach has to actually do that third dip. But that's really not much of a consolation.
Yeah, this is true, as we were talking about before we got started. You know, that moment where we start sitting there just wondering and waiting for that done to show up just kind of puts you out of your misery.
Alright, nothing here in the firebar room. Off to Rando Room, so named because this room is utterly useless in NMG. Not only is it useless, but it requires like 3 more teleportation tiles to get there. So, not worth your time, and yeah, not worth your time. And yeah, not worth your time. Alright. Your big old 14 coming up next, Bob's chest.
Making their way over to the crystal roller side here of Turtle Rock to get their tempered sword and big. This is number 14 coming up here. 20 rupees today.
Yep, sorry, not what you were looking for this go round. We're gonna have Armos on ice. We have 3 more chests here, and then we will probably have a skip of the tile room. Compass room check, which has 4 chests, and then tile room check if needed. Alright, and there's 15 through 17, so we have a 1 in 5 chance for those keeping count at home. 1 in 5 chance for tile room. He honestly control all of us by checking tile room right now. That would be hilarious.
That doesn't look like it. Going right on by there.
So that actually gives you somewhat of a glimpse into the runner's mind, because if he was feeling super behind, he might just go ahead and check tile room right now. Given that he hasn't, he's probably still feeling a chance of being moderately in this one at the very least.
And for all intents and purposes, 140 at this point still isn't that bad of a time. So you still got to be feeling kind of in the mid ground there.
And there it is. Looks like we had a chest 19. First person I see grabbing that was... I cannot read that because my phone sucks. It looks like Nenyan, and then Noob G Scooter right after them. So kudos to both of you, hitting 19 one right after another. You guys get a free race to watch, and a bunch more races tonight, if memory serves. So enjoy your prize. Please note this prize is available to everyone, so you didn't actually win anything. Sorry.
Red Mimic's not playing too nicely there for Daaanty. Makes quick work of him with those silver arrows, only taking 1 shot versus the 2 with the normal one.
Meanwhile, Daaanty is going to be heading up through Ganon Ball Z room, and then right into our lovely gauntlet, which, regardless of how this goes for Daaanty, the gauntlet is actually difficult. Don't let him tell you otherwise with his actions. This is a difficult set of rooms.
Yeah, a combination of moving floors, BMOS, ice tile. Yeah, definitely can get very dirty very fast for you.
Yeah, any one of these rooms has the potential to go terribly, terribly wrong. And it is very difficult to run through these 6 rooms without any of them going wrong.
Meanwhile, Roach getting the bad news, finding the flute, and getting the save quit out. Nothing else there on Laser Bridge. The bad news that it is in fact going to be a triple dip Turtle Rock for him.
Daaanty having a nice recovery there, still taking out 2 of them in 1 cycle, and grabbing the second and grabbing the third just behind that. Little low on health right now, but does have a blue goo that I just saw, so as long as he doesn't get too terribly risky with it, should be okay. Meanwhile, the most satisfying rooms in the game coming up. One down there and one more. These feel so good to do, and they're not actually that difficult to pull off.
Definitely something I wish somebody would have told me about 20 years ago when I was playing this game as a kid.
Yeah, seriously, we're sitting there trying to chase down the invisible floor and smack them with the swords. Meanwhile, some jerk figured out that hey, Kana Samaria goes out in 90 degrees. Maybe we could just use that. Alright, so chat kind of asking for a recap here. Basically what happened is that Roach went for an early Turtle Rock tip, which ended up being not helpful. And the key logic was not really in his favor, as it brought him all the way to Mimic Cave before kicking him back out. And then, obviously, the logic itself not doing him any favor, since there was a required double dip. We ended up getting the Fire Rod out of Pendant Ice Palace. And then the Flute sitting on Laser Bridge, which was originally inaccessible. So triple dip required for Roach as he picks up the shovel there. Probably still looking for, yeah, not good.
Not what you want to see for
Oh
Roach.
no, and he's going to turn that in right now. Don't do it. Don't do it. This is not the fetch quest you're looking for.
Especially being in the mire area with it being one of your crystals. Almost hating open out of there that soon without clearing mire.
Yeah, but at that point I can't really blame him. When you're doing a 1v1 race like this, you're kind of more centered on, nice, triple. You're more centered on, like, what do I have to do to win? And in that,
yeah.
Oh, that was almost a 2-cycle right there. And perfectly set up for another one.
Wow. That's some of the nicest Ega plays I've ever seen right there.
Can I get one of those?
Right?
Then I get some stupid triangulation that requires, I don't know, some ridiculous geometry that I can't figure out on the spot. And there's his ice rod, and Roach is really probably just waiting for that dot done at this point. As he just walks right out, not even running.
Making the way over to Mire. Meanwhile, Daaanty making her way right down into Ganon's Tower. Not Ganon's Tower, the drop down the Pyramid of Power, I should say.
Yep, Ganon giving us some lovely lyrics for our trouble, which for an hour and 45 minutes seems kind of cheap. You'd think he'd at least have a couple biscuits and maybe some tea waiting for us.
The only thing left would be for the Triforce to apologize to us, and this one's over.
Yeah, but even that's not great, because the full log of it is, I'm sorry, but your princess is in another castle, so we don't even get like a full-on I'm sorry.
It's one of them half-hearted ones, like, yeah, I'm sorry, but not really.
And Daaanty trying to use those silvers just one phase too early. But with 21 of them as he dropped down, just using 2 there, probably not going to be a big deal. Whenever you're ready, Ganon. Whenever you're ready. Alright, so there's 1. We need 3 more. The torch glitch not being a big deal here. Yeah, it was. There's a double. Let's get 1 more out of here. And as soon as Daaanty crosses this 1x3 bridge, the GGs can commence. I suggest not giving them out early, because I have seen mishaps here, but that's just my opinion. Alrighty, go ahead and get those GGs in chat. Daaanty finishing in first place with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 46 minutes, and 27 seconds. So was that seed trolly enough for you?
Yeah, the way those items ended up laying out, I certainly say it definitely was.
Good, I'm glad at least you were satisfied with that. And as I did see here, Roach did forfeit right afterwards. As we can see, another bombos of absolute enthusiasm and pleasure coming from Roach's screen. Just kidding, this seed was terrible.
And meanwhile, looks like we have been joined by Daaanty. GG's, Daaanty.
Yo, thanks, guys.
I'd like to formally apologize on behalf of whomever rolled that seed for that seed.
I mean, I hated that seed. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, but I mean, Fear Agent, I guess, was the speed gaming helper who rolled it. So thanks, Fear, for putting the hook shot somewhere really stupid. I felt pretty confident at that point. I don't know if Roach can hover or not, but I was fully banking on having to hover, and it showed up, and it actually almost made me menu to the wrong thing because I was like, I'm not expecting to find this here.
Yeah, we were both in a situation. We were like, well, the hook shot could be in GT. And with as much between the two of you as you guys checked in the overworld and in the pendant dungeons, wasn't really a whole lot else that could be hiding that hook shot. So we weren't terribly surprised.
I had assumed I left hookshot either in Hera Basement or Pyramid Ferry because I didn't want to do Hera Basement, and then when nothing really progressive showed up on the mountain, and then I made the choice to do Spike Cave, I just kept thinking about it. Going through Swamp, getting nothing, I was like, hook's on the mountain, and then there's going to be something in the back of Swamp. But luckily, luckily the Ice Palace dive like paid off, and because I thought Hook was in logic somewhere, I was like, I'm just going to clear this and hope for the best. And then going up to TR, my thought was, I really hope the flute is here. That's the best case scenario for me, that like it's a required double dip. The late game was just super linear and garbage, but yeah, that's how rando goes sometimes, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. And I do have to wonder, as soon as you cleared out Pod, however, and went up to Pyramid, grabbed the ledge, and went up to Catfish, did you remember that you had both 5/6s at that time for Pyramid
No,
Ferry,
I
or did that
totally
just kind of
forgot. So what happened there, I marked everything on my tracker, and for a while I had Swamp Palace as the 5/6. Like I like partially marked it, but I didn't want to take too much damage going into hype, and I hate just sitting on the map because it wastes time. And then I later on adjusted it going into Hype Cave, but I totally forgot to mark Pod as a 5/6. So when I just got Pod, I said, all right, let's go do Pyramid, and let's do Pyramid and Catfish. And then at that point, like it was shortly after I realized my mistake, and I was like, well, I don't really think there's anything I can do about that right now. And then I kept getting like small trickling progressions, so I was like, maybe, that's when I started thinking the hook's maybe there and I can bypass it. But yeah, just an oversight, one of those, I guess, like a happy accident, I guess.
Definitely. Then on that happy accident note as well, when you were looking to death warp there out of Pod after grabbing the big chest, did you remember you had that fairy before you dropped that bomb, or did you just kind of glimpse that as soon as you menued over to the bombs?
No, I knew about it, and I totally forgot to let go of it in Dark Maze. So my thought was, let me see if like I can like put a bomb, and right before it explodes, I just didn't want the fairy to like hit me, and then I regained a bunch of health, because I think I was on blue mail at that point, and trying to kill yourself with bombs in blue mail is not fun. It's even less fun on red mail. So I really hate I didn't preserve my portal, but having like at TR from the dip, but having red mail, it's really, even with like the murder dactyls, it's still hard to, I guess like get a quick death warp so you can preserve a portal like that.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I did notice that you guys are doing game 2 same time tomorrow, and it looks like, if SRL chat is to be believed, that you guys are going to be doing an assured sword seed.
Yeah, we were chatting about that, and I think Roach has to go to work early in the morning, and I kind of do too. So I do want to say GG's to him. We've played in the ALTTPR league a couple times in the past, like in the co-op week, and those matches were super fun. So I was looking forward to, this, I guess, series against him. But yeah, I guess we're doing Assured Sword. That's what I'll plan for. I told him every time I've played Assured Sword, it's always been a sword mode type seed where I need a master sword, and I've got everything else. So can't wait to potentially do that again. That'll be that'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that would be ridiculously ironic, all truth be told. But since you are probably getting ready to head to bed soon. I don't want to keep you too long. Do you have any last thoughts on this wonderful, friendly, not trolly at all seed?
GG's again to Roach. Like I was saying, thank you guys for commentating and tracking the restream, all that. I know it sounds like cliche, I guess, in a way, but I do appreciate all the work that's done behind the scenes and all the volunteers. So thank you guys, and looking forward to game 2.
So thank you much. Without you guys running, we'd just be sitting here talking to ourselves. So kudos to you guys putting on a show for us. Shout out to our tracker Nif Boy, hitting the buttons, doing a great job there. Tracking is not easy. I know for those of you who haven't done it, it might seem like it'd be a simple task, but it's a pain in the butt to stay on top of 2 screens for, an hour and 45 minutes and change. So it was great coming with you, Spy Weaver. Do you have any last words you want to do before we head out?
No, not too much. Other than we got our little trolley show here. It was a nice seed that gave us something interesting to watch and entertain us here for the last hour and 40 so minutes. Other than that, next upcoming match here on Speed Gaming 4 actually looks to be happening, I should say, at 10:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That will be 1UP versus Bwayne. So stick around here. In about an hour, we'll have that match here on this channel for you.
That should definitely be a good one. So yeah, that is all for me. Everyone have a good night, and may your seeds be kinder than this one was.
Have a good night, everybody, and we'll see you next time.